All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to use something you see every day, place names, to uncover a secret map of ancient Italy. We're talking about a frontier that's been lost for over 1,000 years, but it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
So, our investigation kicks off with a puzzle. If you look at a map of Italy, some of the names they don't add up. They feel like these weird little glitches in the matrix.
Okay, let's look at our first clue. There's this town, Pelago. It's tucked away in the beautiful Florentine hills, miles and miles from any coast. But here's the thing. Its name, from the Latin pelagos, literally means high sea. There isn't even a pond there, let alone an ocean. So, what is going on?
And the plot thickens. If we head south into the Apennine Mountains, we find a town called Lago Negro. Now that name translates directly to Black Lake, but geologists have looked and they are positive there has never, ever been a lake there in all of recorded history. It's just not there.
So what are we left with? It seems like either the people who first named these towns were just completely and utterly lost, or there's a much deeper story here, a story whose original meaning has been totally forgotten over time.
Okay, so to crack this case, we have to understand how a word can completely lose its meaning. It's a really fascinating process, almost like a linguistic ghost story, where the spirit of the old word gets replaced by something new.
And the main forensic tool for our investigation is this thing called semantic attraction. Basically, here's what happens. The real meaning of a name just fades away. Generations later, people hear this word they don't recognize, and their brains just latch onto the closest sounding word they do know. And just like that, the place gets a brand new but totally wrong identity.
Let's look at a classic example of this in action, the city of Nocera. Way back when, in the ancient Oscan language, its name was Nuv Creanum, which meant new city. Makes sense. But, centuries go by, nobody speaks Oscan anymore, and people started hearing Nocera and thinking of the common Italian word noce, which means a walnut tree. And get this new, mistaken meaning became so popular that the city of Nocera literally put a walnut tree on its official coat of arms. They completely rewrote their own history, forgetting they were once the new city. It just goes to show you how powerful this process can be, completely changing a place's identity.
Okay, now we have our detective tool. We can use this exact same idea of semantic attraction to go back and solve our original mystery, the mystery of the lakeless lakes. It's time to crack the Lombard code.
And this is where we get the big breakthrough. We've been asking the wrong question. So what if Lagos, in a place like Lago Negro, doesn't come from the Latin word for lake at all? What if it comes from a totally different language, one that just happens to sound similar?
And boom, here's our answer. The word isn't Latin. It's Laker, an ancient word from the Germanic language of the Lombards, a group who conquered a huge part of Italy way back in the 6th century. And Laker doesn't mean lake. It means a military camp, a fortified post, a garrison. Now this is really cool. We can actually trace how the name got twisted over time. Lago Negro started out as Nerulum, a small fortress. Then the Lombards show up and call it Laca Nerulet, the Lombard camp at Nerulum. Fast forward a few centuries, nobody speaks Lombard anymore, and through semantic attraction, that name slowly morphs into the mistaken Lago Negro, the Black Lake.
And here's the thing. This one word, Lakar, it's the key that unlocks a much, much bigger picture. Because this wasn't just a few random camps. It was part of a huge, systematic project to draw a line on the map, a lost frontier between two rival empires.
So for centuries, you had the Germanic-speaking Lombards and the Greek-speaking Byzantines fighting tooth and nail for control of Italy. And as they fought, they each left their fingerprints all over the landscape, basically creating a linguistic map of the front lines.
And what's just incredible is how organized it was. Just look at this. On the Lombard side of the border, their fortresses were called Lago. But right across the line, on the Byzantine side, you find their equivalent, forts named Fileto, from the Greek word for a fortified place. The Lombards marked borders with stafala, meaning border poles. The Byzantines used termole, from the Greek for boundary. It's a perfect mirror image, just in two different languages.
So, when you plot these names on a modern map, a lost world just reappears. Right here in Lunigiana, up north, you can see this clear, sharp line. The Lombard Lacca camps are on one side of a valley, staring down the Byzantine Fileto forts on the other. We're literally looking at a forgotten military frontier.
And this was not just some local quirk. We go over to the Adriatic coast, and the exact same pattern tells the story of their strategy. You have the Lombards pushing from inland, setting up their locker garrisons to put pressure on the chain of Byzantine forts that were defending the valuable coastline. The map itself tells the story of their military campaign.
Let's jump way south to Campania, down near Naples. And again, the place names draw the battle lines for us. This linguistic map perfectly separates the powerful Lombard territory inland from the Byzantine areas on the coast. It shows us the exact political boundaries of the time. I mean, even here, in the boot of Italy, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers from where the Lombards first invaded, the system holds. This linguistic map shows us the absolute southern edge of the Lombard world. It's amazing. We've just used place names to reconstruct a political map that has been invisible for over 1,000 years.
So, okay, this is a fantastic historical detective story for sure. But why does rediscovering this map actually matter? I mean, what does it really tell us?
Well, the researcher who uncovered all this, Giuseppe Greco, he argues it tells us something profound. You see, historians often treat the Lombards in the north and the Lombards in the south as totally separate groups. But this identical naming system from the Alps all the way to Calabria proves they were a single, unified people, connected by, as he says, the same culture, the same traditions, and the same language.
And that, right there, is the big takeaway. This history isn't buried in some dusty old library. These place names are like linguistic fossils. They preserve a map of a lost world that has been hiding in plain sight this whole time. On your GPS, on road signs, on the maps we look at every single day.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? This lost frontier was found in Italy, but these same forces, history, language, conquest, they've shaped the map everywhere on Earth. It really makes you wonder, what secrets are hiding in the names of the places where you live?